Welcome back to your new favorite morning show, Arise and Shine. If you or anyone you know has ever been swindled on the internet, don't feel bad. According to a recent Ultrascan AGI report, losses from Nigerian online schemes alone totaled $12.7 billion in 2013. Here to help us all is Davin Rosenblatt, professional scammer of internet scammers. Davin, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I think it's really interesting how you got involved in this whole scamming business or learning about scamming. Can you explain it to us?
It was completely unintentional. I was sitting on Facebook, and I got a friend. Exactly. Well, that's what you do. That's what you do during the day. And I got a friend request from somebody I don't know, but because I had a radio show and a comedian, that's I know it's crazy. Why would I have a fan? But that's what I thought.
Right.
But then when I started talking to her for a little bit, I started to do the math in my head, and it didn't add up. She said she was 30, and her profile said she went to the University of Hawaii, but she was also telling me she was studying fashion design in high school.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Very interesting.
No, it doesn't add up. So it turned out I did a little bit more investigating, and she was a woman from the Benin Republic.
Okay.
And then, so I started scamming her back because she wanted me to.
Look at you.
So how do you do that? Explain that. That's interesting to me.
Taste of her own medicine.
Well, here's the thing. Scammers do not realize that there could be somebody on the other end who's on to their con.
Right.
Liars don't think that people could be lying back to them. So we do have the advantage if we know what's going on. But in her case, this was a romance scam, so she wanted me to fall in love and send some money. So I pretended I was madly in love with her, and I mean,
like normal men. What's the difference?
But here's the thing: on my profile at the time, it said I was married.
Wow.
So I had to write my wife out of the scenario.
Oh, very interesting.
So we actually had, while she was on the phone with me, because we used to call her up in the middle of the radio show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was like 3 a.m. her time. We'd wake her up and everything.
Wow.
So who are the people that fall prey to this type of scams?
Anybody. Professionals, doctors, lawyers, government workers, mothers, fathers, grandmothers.
Wow.
Anybody can do it. People have the misconception that if you fall for one of these various scams, that you're not a very bright person.
Right.
That's
it can
not
happen
the case.
to anyone, I think, right?
It's just about being naive. If you don't know this is out there and that these predators are out there, you can't prepare yourself for it.
So tell us about some of the most common internet scams that we should look out for.
Well, of course, we all know the Nigerian prince scam where some...
I think I've gotten one of those.
We've all gotten those.
They usually go to my spam box, though.
If you're lucky, yes.
Yeah.
But sometimes...
some get passed.
Yeah. And you think, wow, this Nigerian prince is going to send me money.
And
no.
it always says, like, what you see in this email right here, urgent reply needed.
Well, that's one of the keys of a scam. What they want to do is there's always urgency. They always want you to act immediately because they don't want you to have time to think.
Right.
Another thing they like to do is they don't want you to tell anybody about it. They want to kind of isolate you, and they have various tactics of doing that because if you tell somebody about what's going on, they might have an opinion. Go, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing this.
Right. So those are some red flags to look out for.
It's like if you go to a car dealership and they say you have to buy the car now.
Right.
It's really pressure.
It's time to walk away.
Yes.
Right. So are there certain sites that you shouldn't go to that may, open the doorway for that type of thing?
I mean, listen, scammers and fraud is anywhere on the internet. Dating sites are rampant with them, especially.
Really?
I mean, this isn't the only one.
Romance scams, you're saying,
yes.
kind of like what happened to you.
Yes, but I was on Facebook.
Right.
So they're prevalent on Facebook. But one of the scammers' favorite dating sites is Christian Mingle because one of the things they like to do, they like to portray themselves as good Christian people.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that they're good people. They wouldn't possibly do anything nefarious.
Right. Okay, and then I know in imposter scams. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Very often imposter scams, they claim to be somebody that you know.
Okay.
So if you have an aunt or an uncle, they might steal their identity, Facebook, or call you up and pretend to be that person. Right. And then there's, we have some crisis. I'm stuck in Peru. I need you to send me $1,000 right away, and don't tell anybody about it.
And so what advice would you recommend for people so that they don't fall prey to that imposter scam?
First thing I would do is I would contact the real person, even if you're not sure, contact the person on another method outside of the way you were just contacted. So if they contacted you via Facebook or Instagram or whatever it was, I would call them up on the phone and go, hey, are you okay? I got this. And then you need to warn them so that they can warn all the people that are in their social network.
And what about the lottery scams?
The lottery scams, that's another one where they say, you've won $10 million. We just need you to send us this advance tax clearance or processing fee. It's called an advanced fee fraud scam because they want you to send some money before you get the big payoff. There's never a big payoff. You're
Right.
always sending more money.
Yeah, that makes
that's
sense.
so
And
interesting.
then there are soldier scams. What does that mean?
One of the favorite targets of identity theft, unfortunately, is our military.
Wow.
So they like to pretend that they're our military and say that they're working overseas. They like to say a peacekeeping mission, but a real service member would never say a peacekeeping mission per se. And they will even steal identity of soldiers killed in action.
Oh, that's terrible.
So give us some tips on how to protect ourselves from
Yeah.
internet fraud.
All right. First of all, don't accept anybody on social media that you don't know. There's just no reason to do that. Second of all, you got to make sure all your settings are private, and the various websites, they change their settings all the time, so you have to keep up to date with it. Nobody but your friends needs to see all your pictures or your timeline. Another thing I would do is I would shut off my GPS on my phone or Facebook if you're not using it, because when the GPS is on, if we say, hey, we're at a Rise and Shine, now somebody knows we're not in our home.
Right.
Oh, very interesting. So thank you so much for coming on and,
Thank you for having
joining
me.
us
Appreciate
today. It was a lot of helpful information. I hope some of you at home actually took notes.
And I think it's important to note that scams happen from all over the world,
All
not just
over the
in
world,
Nigeria.
right? Right, exactly. They don't. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.